Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much, one and all, for joining us for Crash Ball podcast number 7. This is a big game coming up for the Springboks. Lots to talk about in the Rugby World Cup and the women's 15, the WXV rugby competition. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm joined tonight by Nathan Gogela. Mr. Gogela,
Yes,
how are you doing?
yes, it's Nathan Kokela. Thank you very much, Otto. It's good to see you again. It's been a while. It's been a minute. I'm good. I just came back from France. Looking to let's hope the Boks play in the semifinals. So I can go back again for the semifinal and final. France was amazing. Something different. The culture there is different. I must say the best part of France was definitely the transport system. It's actually very effective. Goes up until like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, so it's pretty cool, and it's relatively cheap as well. But yeah, not cheap, but I mean, you can go anywhere, and yeah, it's cool, man. It's
Yeah,
cool.
you don't need a you don't really need a car when you're around
Yeah,
those parts of the world.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
short walk, take a
yeah,
metro. Yeah,
quick taxi here and there. So I meant to ask you, and sorry, I'm dropping this on you. I didn't tell you that was going to ask you this, but just tell the listeners who you are and what you do for a
okay,
living and where they can find you on
sure.
the X and the socials
No
and that.
Okay, so I'm Nathan Kokela. It's not my first time on Otto's podcast, but yeah, I'm Nathan Kokela. You can find me on Facebook on Nathan Kokela, on Instagram I_am_gogs. What I do for a living. I'm a financial advisor by trade. In the sports industry, I am a sports journalist slash commentator slash sports consultant coach. So I'm a jack of all trades. But yeah, it's good to be on your podcast, Otto.
Another number cruncher. We've got so many chartered accountants on the One World Sports Radio team. It's frightening. So thank you so much, Nathan, for joining me tonight. We've got all the other guys involved in some of the cricket stuff on One World
Yeah.
Sports Radio with Cricket South Africa and Pitch Vision. So go and check that out on the Cricket South Africa channel. So just some housekeeping, as they say, with the podcasts. You've got to do that. We're not sponsored by anybody yet, but we could be. So please send your details to admin@1wsr.com, and we will be very happy to advertise your brand on this podcast as well as our other live broadcasts that we do. So let's get straight into it then. Oh, yes, and before I forget, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Please share the video. Please make sure that you subscribe to the One World Sports Radio channel. Make sure that you hit that notification button so that you know when we go live. This is a recorded podcast, and we'll be live on Sunday night, but we'll get to that in a moment. So first up, you saw this game, I presume. We did
Yep.
broadcast this as well. It was a good win for the Springboks, but still those nagging questions are there about finishing opportunities. What are your thoughts on the Tonga game?
Overall, I think it was a good game. I think from my perspective, and I think for the coaches as well, the boxes were ticked. You must remember as well, before the game, there was speculations on our weaknesses in terms of the lineup throwing, or let me say Dion Ferry, how we would handle pressure, having a certain amount of time on the field as a hooker, and Mani Lebok, and then 100 Pollard coming back. So I think overall it was a good game for us, and all the boxes were ticked. On the aspect of on converting when we're inside the 22, it's still a work in progress. They have identified it. Jock mentioned it post in the post match press conference. They have identified that it is a problem. So I think it's something that they're working on. But yeah, again, we have to wait for the France game. And what was nice as well, Dion Ferry has been throwing well. I did ask Dion. I haven't speak. So I do speak to some of the coaches via WhatsApp on a personal level. Dion Ferry, and then with the medical staff, how things are going. So not they can't reveal too much, but I mean it is positives. But again, you are right. You spoke about the converting when we're inside the 22. It will be interesting especially when we go up against France.
Yeah, that's going to be crucial. In a test match, you might get 2 or 3 opportunities, and if you don't convert all of them, the opposition certainly will. We saw that against Ireland. We saw it again against Tonga. That at certain phases of the match, we just weren't able to finish things off. That was, I won't call them dirt trackers, but it was not the first choice team for South Africa. So happy with the result. It could have been a huge banana peel. It could have been a huge injury issue for us as South Africans. We got through that, and I thought the best part of that game for me was the prayer circle at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that, but as a Christian man, that was very, very nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, it brought two teams together. I think that's what rugby is all about. At the end of the day, just bringing everyone together and having a beer or two even after the game, which is something good to see. Many other sports, I mean, I wouldn't know, but many other sports, I don't think they do that after the game, whereby they celebrate or come together as with the opposition and just talk about things, swap jerseys and so forth. It was something good to see, as said, for yourself as a Christian man, and for myself as well. So I think moving forward is something that we should be embracing more. And it's one of the ethics that World Rugby has been trying to push, especially now they're bringing all these tier two teams in the in the Rugby World Cup, and apparently we'll be seeing more moving forward. I think in Australia or even US as well, more teams will be introduced in the Rugby World Cup competition.
Yeah, would you, just on that point, would you like to see a round of 16 instead of the straight into the quarterfinals?
I think the round of 16 it will be I don't know, logistically it wouldn't be suitable because again you've been playing so many games and it's high intensity games. We've seen so many injuries especially in the first 2 rounds of the Rugby World Cup. I mean, for us, Malcolm Marx, Makazole Mapimpa, unfortunately, and for other teams as well, some key players. So this is something that you want to see. There's just too many games compacted in a short period of time. There was no rest in between. Some teams have a short turnaround between games, whereby they'll probably play like on a Sunday, then again on a Thursday, for example, Thursday, Friday. So again, the turnaround is very short and just a recovery time for some teams. So yeah, just resources. Some teams, I don't know. I'm for person for myself. I'm not for it. Round of 16. Maybe for like soccer or something, because rugby is a physically demanding sport. So yeah, maybe
Full
soccer
contact.
you can do that. Yeah, exactly. We don't wear those shoulder pads. They wear it in American football. Those helmets. It's just skin on skin. So yeah, just physically demanding sport.
Yeah, and we saw teams like Tonga, Namibia, Samoa, those teams that don't play a lot of games together. They actually got better as the tournament progressed because they were actually playing more tests than they would usually play in a year. So they've got these professional, some professional, some semi-professional players in the team. They don't have a lot of time to prepare. They don't have a lot of warm-up matches. I know Namibia played a warm-up match against the Bulls, which they lost badly. So there's got to be a process, but I agree with you. I don't think that a full contact sport can be elongated, can be like a 6-week or an 8-week tournament. It is already, but where you're playing every 3 to 4 days, 5 days is maybe pushing it 6 days at least. Ideally, you would like a whole week to prepare for your next match, and we see we'll get to the gap that South Africa had between the Tonga game and the quarterfinal. They had a full 2 weeks off, which is also not good because we'll talk about that But just final thoughts on the pool stages. We'll get to the talking points at the end. A team like Tonga, they really ran out of gas at the end. It really showed the match fitness, as it's referred to, that when you don't play week in week out, and you only play maybe 5, maybe 4 test matches a year as a team, and a lot of the players are not available because the matches are not in the international window. But it's a work on for World Rugby. I agree with you on that. It shouldn't be more is more. It should be less is more. It should be the best teams in the world, and trying to find a way to get those second tier teams to play more rugby and get some more game time. And it's something that the smaller teams have. Well, I say the smaller teams, let's say the semi-professional teams. I don't know what the PC term is, but those teams that don't play big competitions against quality opposition all the time, something's got to be done to make that better. We'll talk a little bit more about that maybe in other podcasts. Any other thoughts on the Tonga game before we move on?
I think the big talking point was obviously Manilebok, him not being able to convert those conversions and penalties. Then obviously 100 Pollard was introduced in the squad when Malcolm Marx went down. And then I think this is the combination of him being in his presence in the squad just maybe change things around, and Mandelbach understanding his position that he's in at the moment, and him understanding and acknowledging there is a weakness in his game of kicking for poles, and obviously did very well in that Tonga game, which we saw when he came on for 100 Pollard. So it's good signs. Again, as I mentioned previously, it's just ticking the boxes. But again, as you mentioned, you spoke about converting those chances inside the 22 is still a big talking point. I mean, it wasn't really addressed during the week leading up to the France game. But again, it's good signs for us. What is nice as well, there was a big break, a decent break, because apparently all the boys got bruised up against Tonga as well. Just bruises, blue eyes, and so forth. So I think the break was suited for them. It was good before the quarterfinal.
Yeah, you're not going to walk away from a game against the Pacific Islanders without some knocks, some physical damage. Those guys, they go hard, and we love them for that. It was nice to see Tonga. It was difficult to pronounce their names, but we'll do better next time and try and figure out how you say their names properly, right?
Before we move on, I think I've got one more thing to speak about. I think another big talking focus point for me was that matchup between Oxenchair and Big Ben Tamaifuna. Big Ben, the heaviest rugby player in the World Cup, and then Oxenchair is not the biggest props, or is quite shorter than me. I mean, I'm short as well, but I mean, it's like that head-to-head competition between those two. I think he did fairly well. Hence why I think that's why he got. I mean, we're going to speak about it later. Hence why I think he got the upper hand over Trevor Nyakane, because you see on the other side was Vincent Koch. So I think we have to give credit to Oxenchair for manning up against Big Ben. I mean, I think he had like 40 kgs on Ox. So yeah, kudos to Ox.
Yeah, 100% right. That is something that we really need to. That's one of our strong points is our set piece play. So as you rightly say, Ox probably one of the players that fought cemented his place into the starting 15 for the quarterfinal in that game. Kobus Reinach was also there. We'll talk about the team selection in a moment. So pool stages safely through, second place. Pity about the island game, but we face the hosts, France, next, and then quickly onto the Super Brew leaderboard. I've got one person that I know, I don't know these other names here, will give you the Super Brew pool that you want to join. It's probably too late now, but you can just go and search for One World Sports Radio on Super Brew. We've got a club that you can join, and then we'll invite you to all the prediction games so that you can see if you're better at predicting games. I'm really low down. I think I'm number 30 at the moment in our pool.
Let me actually
I'm in
check where I'm at.
the bottom third. You're not in the top 10, are
Of
you?
course not. Of course not. I'm not in the top 10. Of course not.
Yeah, I think that that island game and a few of the other results really tripped me up.
Yeah.
So that's another nice way that you can support us and just get into the community is to join our Super Brew team and our Super Brew club and our Super Brew prediction games. And then the big one coming up Sunday night, 9 o'clock. We will be live. We will be broadcasting that game for a watch along. So if you have friends and family who don't have access to watch, expats and the like, people who are at work who probably can't sit and watch, you can just have us prattling along in the background and you can follow the action with us on our audio commentary, audio only. So it's a watch along as well. You can pause your DSTV for about 30 seconds and then we are pretty much in sync with the live action if you're able to do that. And we do appreciate your support there. The numbers have been going up. So thank you very much, everybody, for that. We do appreciate that. At the Stade de France in Saint-Denis, just a little bit north of Paris. So we'll be bringing you that game. Let's move on to the selections now for the Springboks. Your thoughts?
Okay, so Lucanio Am came in for Makazole Mapimpi. Lucanio Am was, well, from what I heard, when he was in, they was trying to test how his intensity at training, and apparently he wasn't ready to play this game. Just to let everyone know the reasons why he's not playing. And then on Trevor Nyakane, obviously Trevor's not in 20. Well, Trevor Nyakane isn't playing because they spoke about players wanting players, giving players 50 to 60% game time, or that ratio whereby everyone has equal amount of game time. And obviously, Vincent Koch hasn't had as much game time. You must remember as well, Ox didn't feature in the beginning of the season due to a pectoral injury. Hence why now they're giving him opportunity and obviously a good performance against Tonga. Again, just going from number one from front row to the backs.
Mm-hmm.
Then another big talking point was between Dwayne and Jasper. I think my opinion, the reason why Dwayne was picked ahead of Jasper was first of all experience. I must mention the starting eight for the Boks is the most experienced Bok team, a Bok starting pack ever to play a game. So again, experienced Dwayne Vermeulen, and Dwayne Vermeulen provides more game day. I mean, he's a big poacher as well, and just his presence. A lot of the French guys have even said that Dwayne Vermeulen is well respected. Dwayne has traveled around the world, they understand the conditions, and has been there before in this big game. So, yeah, just on that, on the forwards, and then the backs, Kobus Reinach. Arguably, Kobus Reinach has been the informed scrum off for me for the Boks. Again, people might differ, but again, it's my own personal opinion. Manu Lebok, I think he complements Manu Lebok very nicely. They play similar type of rugby whereby they like to have ball in hand. So Manu Lebok, the only problem is obviously his kicking. But again, remember so Manu Lebok only lost one game when he started for the Boks, and that was against Ireland, yeah. So he's started 7 games and only lost one. So he won 6 out of 7 games for the Boks. And Rassi mentioned, or let me say Jock mentioned, but actually both of them mentioned during the week that Manlebok is the informed fly-off, so why you can't leave Manlebok out. I think this is just a big shoot-up between him and Hunter Pollard, or how we're going to utilize Hunter Pollard in the team, because there another player who's been performing as well, Damon Dalendi, KPIs. He has been reaching his KPIs. His last game. I can't really give you the stats now, but let me just try and look for it for you. Yeah, his stats were
Yeah,
insane against. Yeah, sorry, got it right here. Got it right here. His stats were so good. No, it's not. Yeah, yeah, his stats was just
yeah. While
KPIs
you're
were so
looking,
good. Yeah, his
yeah,
stats are so good. His stats are so good against Tonga and other games he's played. That hence why he's there. Then Jesse Creel is the next person if Lucanio isn't ready. So Jesse has been playing there. Jesse is playing his third Rugby World Cup, understanding the pressure. So yeah, and then back three again: Damon Willemse, Kurt Lawrence, Chesn Colby. I think they complement Manu Lebok very nicely. Manu Lebok does put them into positions whereby they can convert
yeah,
every opportunity to points. So I think it's a very dynamic backline. Yeah, so I'm happy with the backs. Willie Leroux is in the 23. Yeah, Willie Leroux is in the 23. I don't know what more I can say about that. And then 100 Pollard, Faf Clark. Okay, Faf Clark and 100 Pollard, they bring something different compared to Kobus and Mani. Faf and 100 like to kick more and find territory. I think that's as you can see, it's evident the plan they have against the
yeah,
French. Running game in the first half, and then latter parts in the second half, they'll bring on Faf and Andre, whereby they'll play tactical game and they'll try to look for points as well. So we have belief and trust in Andre Pollard to slot those conversions. So I think as a well-balanced side, Dion Free has been playing, has showed that he can perform still at hooker. So, I mean, all around, I'm happy. Just the Villaroo factor, wasn't quite sure. No one asked about Villaroo, the reasons why he was there or so forth. But again, maybe because of experience. But I mean, again, it's my own
yeah,
opinion. I'm
yeah.
happy with the side. I'm happy with the side. Your thoughts, Otto?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think the tactic is obvious. They're going to try and activate the back line. Mani Labok is a fly off that can activate the wings. I've said this before on the Crash Ball podcast. It's a nice change from the 10-man rugby that we've seen from the Springboks in previous years, in previous iterations, in previous coaching teams. I think that this team, as you mentioned, is rewarding form, rewarding good performances, solid performances. So there's not much I can criticize about this team. And I'll say it again, Mani Labok needs a good sports psychologist to get him into a space where he can just go to your happy place, Mani, before you kick,
Or
that kind of thing. Because
we should have brought in Fox Elias. We should have brought in Fox Elias before we went to the French.
yeah. So we're playing against ourselves again. So I agree with you. Dwayne Vermeulen instead of Jasper Wiese, who's not in the 24 at all. He's he's not on the bench either. We'll look at the bench in a moment, but this is experience. This is what you want in your starting 15 in a quarterfinal in a World Cup against the hosts, France. This is going to be a tough challenge. We'll get to our score predictions in a moment. But I like Kobus Reinach. The fact that he's playing a bit more attacking. So this is attacking rugby. This team is all about attack. This team won't mind if you score against them because they know they can score against you as well. With Cheslin Colby and Kurtley Arendse on the wings and the fly half and the centre pairing that will spread the ball wide. This is not a Esterhuizen,
Kane
and Moody midfield that will crash ball. They will spread the ball. They will find spaces on the field on attack. And then with the loose trio, Kulisi, Pieter-Steph du Toit, and Dwayne Vermeulen, incredible work rate, especially from Pieter-Steph du Toit. And then Franco Mostert in there as well. Bongi Mbonambi, incredible work rate. Kitshoff, always stealing the ball, always attending the rucks. This is a team that will attack and also attack via defense. So the all of these players, all of these 15 players are players that have proven themselves capable of switching between defense and attack, stealing balls at the breakdown, big, intimidating players in the back line that are also able to run the ball, except for Cheslin and Kirtley, who are a little bit smaller in stature. But the rest of this team will steal the ball. Whenever they attend a ruck, they will be over your ball. They will be taking possession away from you, pushing up into defense, turning defense into attack. I think this is an excellent starting team against the French, who are also, the French team, we'll get to them in a second, they thrive on attack. So this is a team that will just, you're going to do well if you can outflank or outrun this team in terms of defense and attack. Any other thoughts? Oh, I made a mistake there. Let me just correct that quickly. This is the backs for France. Where's France? He's at number 3. Apologies for that. Did fix the bench. Yeah. Right. So the bench. So you mentioned Dion Fourie, and then Oxen Che. Cannot tolerate this kind of mistakes. Excuse me. Right. So Dion Fourie, Oxen Che, and Vincent Koch, the replacement front row. Not a lot of game time for Koch. So this is going to be a tough second wave for the French to face.
Yeah. So I think Vincent Koch is raving to go. He hasn't played much. He's had, I think it was a knee, and then next time it was a shoulder. So he's just been very unfortunate. But again, if it does happen again, we still have Trevor Nyakane, who can just slot in either that loose head or tighter prop. And Trevor understanding how the French play since he plays for Racing Metro. For me, what was the big talking point for this week was how they will utilize the bench since the introduction of Andre and Lucanio. So people are talking how's it going to look 8-0, 7-1, 6-2, 4-5-3, 4-4. And then it was announced this morning, or let me say Friday morning, that it was going to be a 5-3 split. Very conventional 5-3 split for the Boks. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Something different on the other side for the French. They have a 6-2, but again, I think our bases are covered. But again, I'm just worried about that Willie Leroux situation. I don't know. Maybe they see something in him that we don't. Again, we not statisticians. They're coaches. We just couch potatoes. You know what I mean? Just supporters. We don't know. I mean, again, it's up to them. But again, I am happy from 16 to 23 that we have in the squad at the moment. I think that is the best that we can offer against the French, especially against the French, how they play. I think a big person that we're looking for is Kwagga Smith, because I think Kwagga Smith is like his work rate off the ball. I think is the best out of the squad. Again, I stand to be corrected. It's just something I heard from the statisticians within the group from the time I spent with the Boks. So yeah, I think. Someone who is unlucky to miss out, John Klein, his top partnership with Erge Snyman, but again they couldn't accommodate him in the 5-3 split. So it's a balanced bench for the Boks. But yeah, I'm happy Dion Fourie has shown that he can still play there as well, as I mentioned previously. Your thoughts, Otto?
Yeah, the injury to Malcolm Marx and having Malcolm Marx replaced by Andre Pollard was, I, it didn't sit well with me at all. But Dion Fourie, he's going to be there. I think that would be the weak point for me on if I were the French coach looking at this bench.
Mm, mm, mm.
I
Okay,
would
yeah.
say that let's pressure Dion Fourie.
Yeah.
Let's get the contesting lineup jumpers in there when he's throwing the ball in, when he comes onto the field. Oxenchair, Vincent Koch, quality there, no problem at all. RG Snyman, no problem at all. Once again, we've spent so much time with just one player in each position, not being able to count on a replacement coming through for Eben Etzebeth or Peter Steph Toy or the likes of those players. So the work that has been done over the past 6 years with the Springbok team by the coaching staff and the management team has been phenomenal. To have a guy like Ergis Neyman, to have a bench like this is absolutely phenomenal. First of all, let's just say that. I wouldn't want to coach a team against this bench, except for, like I said, the Dion Fourie thing. But I've no doubt that Dion will do the job. He's looked good so far. I'm just worried, 5 meters from your own line, 3 minutes to go, you're 2 points ahead. You need to throw into the line out. I mean,
Otto, but Otto,
I,
I've got
I
one.
don't know.
I've got
I
one
don't
for
know.
you. I've got
Yeah,
one for you as well. You know how Rassi and Jock are, and I'm
yeah.
sure they understand opposition. What they could do is they could put Dion Fourie in for Kulisi. Just saying.
They could do that and keep Mbonambe on for 80 minutes.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
Dion
that's
Fourie
the
has
kind of
performed
thing.
well
You're
for this.
absolutely right. That is the thing. That is the type of thing that this coaching team has done in the past, and they will do again. They could put Willie Leroux in at center and move Reinach out to wing and Faf de Klerk onto center, and yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
The rest of the bench here, Kwagga Smith has been phenomenal in this competition so far. I wouldn't have picked him before the start of the Rugby World Cup for this game, but the way he's played, you mentioned it as well. His work rate off the ball, the way he's just always there, and every time anybody touches the Springbok, anytime any opposition touches the ball, Kwagga Smith is there over the ball, picking up and scoring tries. He's been phenomenal. So I think what this bench is telling me is that Faf de Klerk and Andre Pollard come in like the backline bomb squad, if you like, to
Yeah.
just settle things down if needed, if it's a close game. But all three of them, remember, Andre Pollard used to be a very attacking fly-off. People forget that because of his kicking. But he's also a big guy and he takes the ball up to the advantage line. He likes to attack the advantage line on his own. And if the French get tired and they start falling off tackles, he's going to be there. So I'm happy with this bench. I just feel sorry for a guy like Joseph Dweba and all the other hookers in the country who were waiting for their chance to maybe be part of this tournament and then to have a fly-off coming in instead of a hooker. But once again, looking in from the outside, I'm not sure what the plans are. Maybe this was discussed before the tournament actually started. So, yeah, let's see. It's going to be very tough. And the guys on the bench are going to be absolutely key to success or failure. If the starting team can give us 8 points or a 9 point or an 8 point
Slight
lead,
lead, yeah.
I think these guys will be able to finish it off. If we're chasing the game, I'm not so sure if this bench will make a difference. If the French blitz us in the first 40, 60 minutes and we are 15, 20 points behind, I think that'll be that.
Yeah, but again, I just think that our bench is much better against compared to the French. But again, we can go
Mm.
through the French team as well, and then you can just compare as well.
Okay, so we didn't do nice things for the French team because they're the French team.
They're the French team.
This is the French team. I'll just read through them quickly. Thomas Ramos going from 15 down to 1. Damien Penaud, Gael Ficou, Jonathan Danty, Louis Billet-Marié, Mathieu Jalibert, Antoine Dupont, Grégory Audry, Charles Olivon, Anthony Gelange, Thibaut Flamand, Cameron Woki, Uini Antonio, Piatu Mauvaka, Cyril Bale. With the replacements, Pierre Bourgari, Reda Wardi, Dorian Aldeguerri, Roman
Fino.
Taufifinoa with no respect, Francois Cro, Seko Makolo, Maxime Luku, and Yoram Moefana.
Fino.
Fabien Galti, the French coach. Yes, so this is a bunch of players that I do not know a lot about. The big one is Antoine Dupont. Do you think he should be playing with a semi-fixed broken jaw?
So when was it? On Monday, I spoke to the one of the assistant coaches of the French, asking him where is Antoine Dupont at the moment. We obviously seen on social media how he's looking in terms of visuals of Antoine Dupont at training. He only started training this week, fully. This week only. Last week I was just doing conditioning or other tests, which he obviously passed.
Hmm.
So he visited his surgeon on Monday. His surgeon cleared him to play. Fabien Galtier obviously said, "Listen, okay." So Fabien Galtier today said that he didn't force Anton to play. So listen, it's up to you if you want to play or not. So he decided to play. But again, I think it's just reckless to bring in a guy. Yes, he's such an influential player, and just his presence alone is such a big deal for the French. But again, it's just my honest opinion is just reckless. He's recovered
Hmm.
in half the time that it takes to recover from a cheekbone fracture.
Hmm.
But yeah, to be interesting to see what happens. Gregory Aldridge was asked what happens if they touch Anton Dupont's cheek or something, and Gregory just replied, saying, "Listen, if you touch a person by the head, by the neck up, it's on automatic red card." And this is a back and forth thing, even with Rassi as well. He just said that just a whole simulation by the French trying to mock possible scenarios whereby the Springboks could be penalised and worse scenario sake, one of them gets sent off the field. So far so good for the Boks, and they haven't considered a card in the World Cup. So yeah, just touching onto the side, if I may, Otto. I
Hmm.
think overall it's a good side. They'll be
Yeah.
missing the starting hooker. Forgot his Marchant. They're missing the hooker is injured. Before the
Hmm.
tournament, it was Romain Tamak. But again, Mathieu Jalibert has been performing for them. Louis, who is 20, I think he played in the Junior World Champs for the French. I
Hmm.
think the tournament was in Paul Jim, I think. I'm not sure. I think so.
Hmm.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, the
But again, it's
under
yeah.
19 World Cup. Yeah. Hmm.
Now the 20 World Cup. So again, it's another prospect. He reminds me of Moody, but just obviously the same age, 20 years old. Um, Overall, very good side. We know
Yeah.
what Anton Dupont can do. Just him alone, he just like those cross cover kicks to his teammates, putting them into space. Something that Mane Lebok does, Anton Dupont does for them. and he's not shy with contact as well. So I mean, what I've heard this week that he gave a few buses in training sessions this week, which is yeah. I heard him speak today, so it's not too bad. His jaw's not too bad or cheek. But just touching on the side,
Yeah,
I think it's a well settled 15 for them. I wouldn't change much. Just touch on the bench, 6-2 split. They brought in Sekou Makulu. He's a loose forward, but man, he can run. He scored that one try when we made an error. Then he just blitzed from 60 meters out and scored the try. So he's something who's versatile. He reminds me of like Kwagga Smith, to be honest, but just taller version. So they're playing with a
yeah,
6-2 split. But how I can go up against this, just I think Damien Delindi needs to attack Matthew Jalabe's channel the whole day. Just make him soft. Just eventually
yeah.
give in. Same thing they did against Finn Russell. Finn Russell was nowhere because I mean just how much pressure they put on him. So if you manage to take him down, Jalibe down, there's no replacement for him on the bench. So yeah,
Yeah,
maybe they might bring in Thomas Ramos
that's
to fluff, then tweak things around. So again, it's just a tactic I would use against the French. But yeah, it's a well settled
that
French
is
team, to be honest.
that is an excellent point because the Springboks defense has been awesome in this World Cup. This team is basically the Stormers recipe. Just defend and playing without the ball. The Springboks have been really good. It's when they have the ball on attack that we've got some question marks. But we saw in every pool game, if you touch the ball, you are going into a world of pain because you're going to have Springboks swarming all over you. And we saw the Springboks very effective in that defensive attack, you could say. Right?
Yeah,
So teams just going backwards. The defensive line just moving up and tackles missed minimal. And as you mentioned as well, no red cards, no yellow cards, just good defense. And if you're not in a good defensive position, it's fine because you know your teammates will back you up. And I think that you're absolutely right. That 9-10, DuPont is going to have to do everything by himself. As soon as he passes the ball down the back line, they massacre. With
yeah,
Ireland, the game against Ireland, they managed to get the ball wide quickly, to get away from that smash that's coming when
right.
you're facing the Springboks. They did that really well, coupled with the Springboks not really gelling on attack. But the Springbok defense has been absolutely awesome, and the discipline has been absolutely awesome. So the French, I think, it's got to be Dupont. If something happens to him between now and Sunday night, 9 o'clock South African time, live on One World Sports
Yeah,
Radio, on
I
YouTube,
doubt.
on
I doubt.
Facebook, and X, it's going to be tough for them to recover if they lose a 9 or a 10, or if they don't have a good game. If one of those two guys don't fire, they can bring Ramos in. Rightly said by you that they can bring Ramos into 10. That might work. I don't know, man. This is. I think this team is up for the taking. Hopefully we learned our lessons against Ireland, and we can play the same sort of game. The other thing I was thinking about today is that these guys are all mostly people that the Springbok players haven't played against. The Ireland team were all players that we knew from the URC. These guys are not people that we've faced, that the
Yeah,
Springbok
but
players have
but
faced in a
we
long
but
time.
yeah,
Yeah,
but we played against them when we
last year.
played in that last year. So familiar type of game, but just different venue, different ref.
Mm,
But we understand the players. So maybe a few
yeah,
tweaks here and there for the French.
okay. Yeah, no, and once again, playing the French in France at the Stade de France, that is
It's
it's a
something else.
different it's a different animal. It's Yeah, it's next level. It's I would
It's
say it's like this the All Blacks in Dunedin before they covered the roof. Playing the All Blacks in the House of Pain. This is
yeah,
this is this is what we're facing. This is a very
it's
tough
hostile.
challenge. It's very tough. It's going to be the whole crowd is going to be allez bleu for 80
Hostile,
minutes,
yeah. Hostile, yeah.
and they're gonna be shouting at the ref. They're gonna have to
Yeah.
escort the ref if we win. If we win, they're gonna have to escort the ref out in an armored cash
Do you know? Do you
transit
know? Do
cash
you
in
know? Do you know?
transit vehicle.
Do you know who's the ref?
It's Ben O'Keefe. It's
What
all
is
New Zealand.
what's his initials?
B
Bok. Bok.
Book. Well, he was the ref against Ireland, and
Yeah.
I said after a few days after the game, it actually hit me because I'm not really streetwise and fast thinking fast on my feet. We played Ireland with a referee named O'Keefe. That was just like,
Yeah.
why would you? Yeah. So
So
let's
so
hope
he
that the
was yeah.
50-50 calls go our way, but I don't think they will. The
I think it
Springboks will
will.
have to be undeniable.
I
Yeah.
think it will. I think it will. There's many factors. Rassi something. Okay, so obviously the people don't know anything about this. So Rassi and Jock obviously done their homework. Yes, we know how
Mm.
meticulous in the planning. But Ben O'Keefe, um, Ben O'Keefe joined a few of our mates in Franschhoek at Val de Vie before the Australian game when we gave Australia hiding in Pretoria. So maybe
Yeah.
they gave a few words here and there just to swing things to the box favor. But again, just light banter. Yeah, so he refed us against Australia in Pretoria, and guess who were our halfback pairing was?
That would be Reinach and Lubbock.
Correct. So it's a lot of familiarities and the players understanding um, um, the ref as
Mm.
well. He refed us as well in the British Nice Lions series in the second test. I mean, that's yeah. So it was a lot of pressure in that. So I think he understands the culture in South Africa. How again? So for him, it's going to be a tough one. So if France lose, he's going to have to get some security for him. South Africa,
Yeah.
if they win, then obviously they're going to buy him drinks for the whole evening. So
Yeah. No, I
yeah,
think it was a sad day. I think it was John Plumtree, the first coach that I heard say that we're preparing for the referee, but it is a factor, and the referee is just a human being. Hopefully, we don't see from Ben O'Keefe what we saw against Ireland. I thought some of the contact in the air, uh, the stuff that happened on the field was not picked up by
I
the
don't.
refereeing team. And we have to say that it's a refereeing team. It's not just the guy on the field. He's
Yeah,
got two ARs, he's got two assistant referees, and he's got a TMO. So hopefully they will make it a fair game. Because I don't mind if we lose and we played our best and the other team was better. But if there are calls going against us, the Springboks just need to water off a duck's feathers and move on. They can't be throwing their hands in the air and shouting at the
yeah.
referee and getting
They
upset.
never do that. They never do
And
that. The only
it's
player who
it's
does
a
that is Villaroo. Villaroo does that, not
it's
everyone
a
else. It's Philly.
yeah. I think Sia Kulisi will have a big job where that is concerned, is to get into the referee's ear because he's a very humble man.
Mm.
He's not um, a brash, violent kind of person as I experience him as a player. Obviously, he plays the game hard, but he's not somebody who'll walk up to the ref and say, listen, we've been seeing this and that. He's very respectful. Other captains would be in the ref's ear. I think that's maybe something that could make a difference in this game because the crowd is going to be in the referee's ear. That's no doubt about that. Any other thoughts on the French team? Yeah, not watching a lot of French rugby and not knowing the players really well. The only thing I would say is that the DuPont selection, I think, was a mistake. I think they've been better off to just. But they've got the
Um,
best player, the best nine in the world, arguably the best nine of all time. Why wouldn't you play him? But geez, like it was a broken jaw, right?
yeah, no, broken cheekbone. It's a fractured cheekbone. Yeah,
Broken
cheekbone. The
fractured
cheekbone
cheekbone.
below. Yeah, cheekbone just above the
Oh
jaw.
my goodness! I
Yeah,
mean, if he if he has a bad dream and rolls around in his bed, he'll get
yeah,
injured. That is a
yeah.
bad injury, and that is a
I think
yeah,
again, it's reckless.
yeah.
Half
You
the
said it,
time for
yeah.
recovery.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Reckless.
So you asked me just any other thoughts about the French team. Just I'll keep
Mm,
it brief. I think just the eight is quite heavy. They understand the box. They're not scared to do some rolling balls against us. They've done it before. In we saw our last game between them. And they contest well as well. So if the case where Dion Free does end up throwing the line out, it's going to be a tough day for him in the office. But again, I do think
mm,
our bench is good enough to play against their replacements. I mean, we saw
mm.
the caliber of our bench experience as well. They've been in the World Cup. They played in the World Cup in Japan as well. So I
Yeah.
think it's an all round a good team. Again, it's just about showing up, as Silkelisi
Hmm.
mentioned in the press conference today, just physicality and hard work on the day, and
Yeah.
obviously ticking the boxes for them. So I think it's going to be a good game overall.
We cannot wait. I cannot wait. Moving on. The Springbok Women. They played against Scotland
So
today. They lost. Um,
yeah,
there was a yeah the game last warm up game on the 7th of October was against Samoa, where they ended up drawing that match 17 each,
yeah,
10 all at halftime. And then today we lost against Scotland.
31-17, 31.
Did you watch? Did you watch?
I didn't watch today's game, but I did watch the game against the Samoan game. They played in Hermanus on the
Okay.
7th of October. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been following the women's game or the women box for quite some time now. I think for since 2018, 2019. So 4 or 5 years, and I've seen quite a big progression.
Yeah.
So the SA Rugby have a elite core group of coaches whereby they will allocate different coaches to different unions, and so for the women box, they allocated them coaches for specific things. For example, lineouts, scrums,
Interesting.
lineout scrums. In the backline, they didn't need to because they still have who's the current head coach now? I forgot his name.
Louis Koen.
Uh,
Louis Koen.
yes, Louis Kuhn. Yeah. So they brought in Dion Ferry. They brought in a few box as well. France Malabra came for the scrum session. So back in the days, they couldn't throw in a line out. They literally couldn't throw in a line out. And then just the hands, they didn't have hands back in the days. And to see them now, how they evolved as a team and as individuals is remarkable. Now we're
Mm,
seeing them for the first time. I was so impressed, and in a good way. They were the hookers able to throw from the touchline to the 15 and hit the targets. And it
mm.
was windy as well. They were playing in Amanus on the 7th. So it's good signs. And they were doing rolling mauls, some good play in the back line. And they even have depth in the back line, actually, if I think about it, because
Yeah.
this team, there's some players that are injured and some players as well. Yeah, the aunts here are playing in the sevens. They're currently in Tunisia at the moment, I think, in the Africa
Yeah.
combination something for place in the Olympics. I think, I'm not sure, but again, I can stand to be corrected. But
Mm,
for the game against Scotland, they're missing players. For example, Nadine Roos,
mm-hmm.
jeepers. What's his name? What's her name now? The winger, Malinga isn't not playing. The center, Zintlem Pupa is not playing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
many
she was
many players.
amazing in the World Cup. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're missing many players. Even they're missing many players in the back line. Let me put it that way. Can't remember the names by off my head, but again,
Yeah,
just
and
overall,
Asisa
it's
Hele,
getting better.
yeah, apparently Asisa Hele is going to leave the team during this competition and go back to the
Europe,
England Premier
yeah,
League.
yeah.
So yeah, it's the steps forward, leaps
Mm.
forward for the South African women team. And thank you so much to everybody. There was quite a crowd in at the Donny Craven Stadium this afternoon. The Springboks lost against Scotland. I'm sorry to
Did you watch the
inform you.
game?
I did watch the game,
Your thoughts?
and it was the score was 30 something
31, 31,
17,
17, 31, 17.
31-17. Yeah, that's right. And the Scots killed it in the last few minutes. So it was a good contest. Excellent step up once again. As you mentioned, the ladies are really playing better every time they get together. It's
100%.
that draw against Samoa. There were a lot of players missing there, so not too worried about that. So just quickly on the WXV, on the women's 15 competition, this is sort of a rugby championship kind of situation.
Mm.
And apologies to everybody, all the One World Sports Radio fans. We do try and cover all the ladies' Springbok games as well. I didn't realize that they were going to broadcast this. If they didn't broadcast the Barbarians game, I just assumed. But we will be broadcasting the game on the 20th of October at 4:30 against Italy. The Italian team looked really good, very slick,
They beat
very
Japan,
attacking
yeah.
rugby. They beat Japan. We'll get into that with our final talking points. So if you are in the area, please make sure that you get tickets. It's wxvrugby.com, wxvrugby.com. You can get all the details there about how the competition works. So the first division is playing in New Zealand. That's the top 6 teams. And then we are 7 to 12. We are in WXV2. And then there's a WXV3. Apparently, there won't be any promotion until 2025, until after the next Women's World Cup. But this will happen every year. So we are definitely going to be following that. And we will definitely be broadcasting those games if we can, if we have to buy rights to go and, to just stream the live feed to keep up with these, the Springbok Women games. And there was a tackle by Libby Jansen van Rensburg
Little bit
on the
of a
number
respect.
15 of Scotland. So if you
I saw
watch
that.
the replay of that game, that was a absolute demolition job. It
I saw
was
that.
amazing. It was,
I saw that.
and the lady from Scotland got up and scored a try or made a try. So it was a very tough game. The Springbok ladies really falling away from their fundamentals a little bit. They dominated the scrums in the first half. In the second half, Scotland came back at us, and then we came back at them in the scrums. The way we lost the game was the rolling ball defense in the first half. So go and watch those highlights. It's really worth it. It was a proper test match. It was a proper ding dong battle. It was almost, almost. It was so close. Even the Scotland captain said after the game, it could have gone either way. They just murdered it in the last few minutes with a few missed tackles. So uh, Scotland did win. So I'm very much looking forward to the game against Italy. That's going to be very interesting. And then the final game. So this is a three different locations. All the teams play 3 games in each location. All the points get tallied up onto a log, and then I don't know what happens after that, if they're going to have a final or whatever. But it's a really great thing. So wxvrugby.com, go and check it out. It's a really, this is the first year this is happening. and we'll be following that intently. And then we go on to the last slide as we cross the hour mark. No, the other left, the other right. Okay. So just quickly rolling through these ones. Australia out. They were talking about a big poster that they had to advertise the Australian team's campaign in France on the Australian embassy in Paris with a big picture of Michael Hooper, who wasn't even selected for the team. So there you go. Is Eddie Jones going, or is he
Japan.
going to stay?
Japan.
Hmm?
Japan. But
Japan going out.
there's a word or rumors going around that Eddie Jones might be going
He's
to
going
Japan.
back to
Goes to Japan.
back to Japan.
Just I don't know,
Okay.
just a lot that's happening at the moment within.
Okay.
Someone's got to give. Something's got to give in order for them to progress as a union and as a national team. So
Hmm.
yeah, something's got to give. So again, only time will tell how it all goes. Our plans out. We don't know. We on the outside. We as spectators slash
Yeah, and
journalists.
we just talked about the experienced Springbok team. All those names that were left out of the Australian team.
Yeah.
Is that a lesson to the rest of the rugby world that you do need the old heads sometimes? Maybe not so much. Maybe just do
I
a
think.
just get those guys into the squad so that they're just there and they can just share a hotel room with the
Yeah.
with the younger guys and get them into the right headspace and show them how to prepare for these big games, because that loss against Fiji was a big one, and then Wales, and then this is and we all know the Australian press, they do like to
Yeah.
pigeon
Accurate.
to to do the pigeon thing, to just crap all over their own people. They're
Mm.
even worse than the English where that is concerned.
Yeah, but again, I just think again it's just crumbled. It's just imploded for them because they changed the coach in the Rugby World Cup year.
Mm,
It's I mean that's I don't know, that's absurd to do that. I
yeah.
don't know why they let him stay for another year. I mean that's what
Mm,
New Zealand did with Fozzie. And that's why Fozzie is
yeah.
now finishing off with his tenure with the All Blacks. So I
Mm,
think it was a bit premature for them to bring him in again. Is maybe it's the experience of management within Australian Rugby Union, and obviously they caught brunt of it. Even worse, having inexperienced players playing in the Rugby World Cup. Some players not even playing a single game or single cap and debuting
yeah,
in the
making
World
your
Cup, which is crazy, it's
yeah,
absurd. I've never heard that before.
that's
But
insane.
again, so
Yeah.
I think it's again as you mentioned, it's something that the world can see. This is something we shouldn't be doing, and it's a perfect blueprint that we shouldn't do this moving forward. So, yeah, you're right when you said that when Australian rugby at the moment is in a crisis.
Okay, I'm just gonna pause here. I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. Right, so that's Australia out. I think that's the biggest surprise, that Fiji managed to pip them
Mm.
in that group. It was a tough group. Wales and Australia were expected to go through, and Fiji just said, "Not so fast, guys." First quarter final, Wales Argentina. Dan Bigger, last hurrah, probably.
As for
Who do you
many,
see going?
okay,
Who do
let
you
me
see
just
going through then?
let me just give reasons for my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Wales coming into the World Cup, they weren't. We would say that they would finish number one. We would maybe think maybe number two in their pool, or that's how I
Yeah,
predicted because of their
yeah,
form coming to the World Cup. But again, due to their a fairly easier pool, or fixtures, they were able to go along their business pretty nicely or pretty swiftly. Again, on the other side is Argentina. They've been blowing hot and cold. I predicted they would be top the pool on against England, but obviously not to be.
Mm,
So Argentina is just blowing hot and cold. So I would say Wales, reason being because they've been most consistent team out of the two, and just the experience of Dan
yeah.
Bigger, as you mentioned, just him coming back. I think they have a settled side, Wales. Argentina unfortunately lost their talisman in Pablo Matero, who's not playing. So it's a big loss for them. But again, they do have the likes of Facundo Isa coming in, he's well
Mm,
experienced Argentinian in the loose forwards. So looking forward for a tight battle, especially up front, and then the outside backs with Louis Zamet, and then George North playing his last possibly his last World Cup. So there's many lost Ruhuras around for Wales. So I think again with that factor of having a Warren Gatland there has done wonders for them. So contrast to Australia, Warren Gatland has done
yeah.
wonders for Wales. So yeah, so I
Yeah,
think they will take it
they also pulled Gatland in at last minute, that
100%.
Wales.
Yeah. So again,
So
it just
contrasting
shows.
fortunes for the two
Yeah,
coaches. Yeah.
yeah. Again, it just shows the caliber or the quality of the coach Gatland is, and him obviously understanding the Welsh culture and not taking anything away from
Mm,
Eddie, but Eddie obviously hasn't been in the round for a while. Yes, he's Australian, but just Gatland being able to galvanize everything in a very short period of
mm.
time and pulling everything together, and then possibly being in the semi-final next week is going to be a good feat for them. I'm sure you'll be proud as a coach. But again, I say Wales by 10,
I've got
27, 17.
okay. I've got Wales by 6. So we agree on that. I I'm not so sure about that. That's my pick to get some because I'm doing dismally in the pool as I mentioned before.
Yeah,
I hope that Wales can come through for me in this one. I won't be surprised if Argentina actually win that game. They're the type of team that can, score 14, 21 points in 6 minutes, in 10 minutes. So that will be key for Wales is just to keep them out. But Wales have got a really quality team, and they've really in this tournament they've stepped up their game. Next one, Ireland, New Zealand.
um, yeah. So I think I'll
Are
break
you
it
brave
down.
enough to bet against New Zealand? How much money
Um,
are you willing
yeah.
to bet against New Zealand? I'm willing to bet
Um,
$10 against New Zealand because those guys, when they pull those black jerseys over their heads, I don't know. I don't know. I've got Ireland by 12. I think Sexton will
yeah.
just kick them off the field.
Yeah. See, for me, I think Ireland against us, or let me say, just leading to World Cup. There, I mean, for now they have 16 or 17 games without a loss. I mean, that's feat by its own. It's pretty incredible. I mean, especially coming into a World Cup. They are Six Nations champions, Grand Slam winners. They beat
Yeah.
New Zealand in New Zealand with the New Zealand series last year.
Yeah.
They beat us and they beat everyone else. So they convincingly they're obviously number one. But I mean the way they've gone about the business is incredible. Yes, they beat us. Unfortunately, we obviously missed our kicks. They, we can talk about the crowd, the crowd factor as well. With them singing "Zombie," I was there. It's deafening. Just just hearing the crowd. Yeah, something that atmosphere I've never
so
in my life ever experienced.
so feed
But
the
again,
Ireland team cranberries before the game.
Cambry, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then just talking about the game now, I think for them, they pay. So leading up, I don't know, a few 4 or 5 years ago, they obviously were struggling. And then obviously New Zealand was the team to beat. Remember, Richard McCaw was still playing
Hmm.
and they won the 2011 World Cup, and then 2015 the convincing winners because no one else was even coming close to them. A team that maybe come close to them was us. I remember they would say that the All Blacks was on a planet of their own, on a different planet. at
Yeah.
the time, of
Yeah.
course. So everyone was trying to
Yeah.
emulate the game, and I think the team that came close to emulating how the All Blacks play was Ireland. And as you can see now, they're
Mm.
obviously dominating in World Rugby at the moment, and obviously beating New Zealand. So New Zealand's playing the catch-up game now with Ireland, but again, I think that Scotland game showed me that's just cheap as Ireland is a team that's very difficult to beat. I actually wonder who
Mm-hmm.
the breakdown coach is. I don't know if you really watch closely. Just a close quarter contact is incredible. I've never seen that
Mm.
how they're able to manipulate the contact and the refs can't see different angles because you will be stuck on one side. But yeah, I think the breakdown work is very good. So what they normally do is the tackle, quickly get up and try to go for the ball, or someone will tackle and the next person try to steal the ball. So that's what they've done against us, did against Scotland. So they suffocate Scotland and suffocated us. So it's incredible to see that because we must remember when we played against them, I think we played a 7-1 split, or was it 6-2, 7-1?
Yeah, it was the 7-1. Yeah.
Those loose forwards, all those jacklers in our on our bench, but they weren't effective. That shows the caliber of Ireland. Then they can still beat you out wide as well. Ireland did it against us a couple of times, even
Yeah.
last year as well. So I think it's gonna be very difficult to beat Ireland. New Zealand
And this,
reminds me, yeah.
no, finish your thought. Yeah.
So I think then New Zealand just reminds of like Australia. So obviously coming to the World Cup, we thought Australia maybe might do well because of the Eddie Jones factor, but New Zealand just showing again they're losing to France, they're losing to us. We gave them a hiding. Maybe they're not the team that we or the standard of New Zealand rugby that we think they should be. Because I mean, if you look at their bench, their bench isn't the New Zealand standard. They're below the standard of New Zealand rugby. So I remember back in, I mean, always talking about, as a journalist, you have to talk about these things. Remember 2015 or 2019, they
Mm.
still had like Sonny Paul Williams on the bench. They had
Yeah. Yeah. And
Gordon Barrett on the bench. But now these
yeah,
guys
I
on the bench now
remember,
it's not the same. Yeah,
I
it's
remember
just not the
Bowden
same.
Barrett playing his first game in number 10 in his 20th, 26th or 27th
Yeah, because
cap.
of Dan
He,
Carter.
he actually, yeah, because they kept him on the bench, kept bleeding him through. They did back then what Rassie and Jock are doing now with the Springboks, where
Mm,
the guys that are coming on off the bench or the guys that are starting. When you look at the stats, you're like, whoa, this guy has played 30 Test matches. He's got
yeah.
200 points. He's up there, and
Yeah.
that has gone away. Do you think that's got something to do with them kicking us out of Super Rugby? Because I
They
do.
have mentioned that they've lost that competitiveness or
Mm.
that level of rugby that they used to play because of us moving out of Super Rugby. They have mentioned it, so it's apparently something that they've been working on trying to bring us back or something. But I'm not sure what's going on with that. And I doubt SA Rugby will want to do that again because it's not feasible. Because SA Rugby is trying to get profits, we get their money back, especially from the COVID time. So trying to break even. But I doubt it's going to happen. But again, New Zealand, just speak on New Zealand team again. Mark Talia is not playing because I broke protocol. We don't know exactly what happened. But again, the truth does
Mm-hmm.
eventually come out. We just have to wait and
Mm-hmm.
see. Maybe we'll find out at the end of the World Cup. Maybe after on Monday. So when they don't make the semi-final, maybe we might find out then. But yeah, I mean, Cam Roygaard is probably been the most informed scrummer for them. He's not even in the 23. So again, they chose Finley, maybe because of the experience factor. But yeah, small things might work against them or for them. So, but again, only time will tell. But again, I do think Ireland will take it by 15 points. Yeah, I think Ireland's just too
I've
strong.
I've got Ireland by 12.
Yeah, so we're
I
close
think
again by 3 to 4.
the pressure that Ireland puts on this New Zealand team will convert into penalties, and Sexton will kick them off the field.
100%.
England, Fiji, we're all rooting for Fiji, but really, can they do it?
Um,
Realistically,
Okay, realistically speaking, I mean, you must remember when they played each other before the World Cup or in the World game, we would say that England was going to beat Fiji. People lost money in that game. Fiji won. In the World Cup, Fiji played against Portugal. You'll say, yeah, better on Fiji. Fiji lost to Portugal. So again, for me, I think it's just a matter of a toss-up. England. What I think what swings it for England, they do have the pedigree of coaches. The SNC of England was our SNC back in 2019.
Hmm.
Forgot his name now, but he said that the English team won't peak or won't perform as much as they would now.
Strength and conditioning, for those who don't know. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you won't perform as they won't perform in the play in the pool stage. They won't perform at a high level because of just the intensity of training. But he programmed it. As he said, that they will start peaking in the playoffs. So again, we will have to see
Yeah.
on Saturday or Sunday. Not sure, but
These two quarterfinals, the 3 and 4 quarterfinal will be happening on Sunday. So this will
Sunday,
be
yeah. So
England
they're
versus
playing,
Fiji will
yeah,
be on
before
Sunday
us.
before we play
Yeah.
the French.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just the quality of the opposition. Okay, Owen Farrell didn't play that game as well, so he brings in that presence as well. For the English, they still have George Ford on the bench, who, man, single-handedly won in that first game. I'm not sure who they played against. I think it was against Argentina. So I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure who
Yeah,
they
they
played
beat
against.
Argentina.
Yes,
That was the
man,
big shock.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
George Ford by
because we
himself.
all thought, we all thought Argentina would walk over England
100%.
because they were so poor in the Six
Yeah,
Nations and leading up to the
correct,
tournament. But England
correct.
have been going from strength to strength. They really up,
Yeah,
and as you say, peaking at the right time.
yeah.
So I expect England by 6.
Yeah, England by 7. Yeah, England by 7.
Mm,
Yeah, 6-7.
mm. Anything else on that quarterfinal?
Yeah. So and Fiji. So I don't know if you know about this as well. So Sam Matavesi, the Fijian hooker who plays for Northampton
Well,
Saints.
yeah,
Yeah. So
his son died. Yeah,
no,
passed away.
that was Joshua Tuisova. That was the previous week. Now this week is Sam Matavesi. I think it's his dad or something.
Oh no.
So yeah, so he said that he's going to play. So it's so much happening at the moment for the Fijians. All condolences to the Fijian team as well for
Yeah,
Joshua
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
Sam.
Yeah,
So
yes. Like as a
shame,
parent,
but
I cannot imagine what that must feel like. That and that guy that stuck with the team. I mean, that team has got some gees that you can't imagine. I mean,
you must hear them sing. You must hear them sing live. It's pretty
I
impressive.
cannot,
It's like a choir.
I cannot, I cannot imagine, um, you know, doing that, losing a child,
Yeah,
staying. I mean, it happens every 4 years, and you could tell yourself maybe that your child would want you to finish the job and then come back and start the mourning process. But yeah, it's
yeah, I
uh,
know, yeah.
it's a tough one. That's
Mm.
that's amazing. That's well, when you live on a small island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, I guess you have to put your faith in a higher power. Otherwise, you'll just
100%.
be
Yeah.
freaking out all the time. Right. So Fiji would be nice. I would love to lose some Super Group points again if Fiji win, because the only thing I like more than the Springboks winning is seeing England and
Fiji.
Australia lose. Right.
Everyone's second favorite team.
Oh yes. Oh yes. In this World Cup, yes. And then was it the 2019 World Cup where they beat Wales in the quarterfinals?
Correct. Yeah.
Where they or
Or
they they went
the
through to
Wolves
the
had one up against
semi-finals, and then
Wales.
they just and then they just ran out of steam, but this will be great if they can get rid of England. That will do the world a favor. But I think realistically, England by 6. That's my prediction. You said England by 10.
7.
By
7.
7. By 7.
Yeah.
Right. And then today we saw the first game of the first women's 15. Italy beat Japan by 28 points to 15. South Africa will face Italy next. We touched on that a little bit earlier. Some more times for you to watch out. And these games are being broadcast on SuperSport.
SuperSport 208.
So we will be covering the remaining 2 games of the Springbok ladies on the 20th of October at 4:30 and on the 27th at the same time, 4:30. And then finally, our tagline at the moment for the Crash Ball podcast is tagline needed. So please X me at Ozmaster with your suggestions.
Yeah. So the WXV3 played today as well. I'm not sure that the results.
Yes.
Fiji
Let's
played
go
against
through
Colombia.
that.
Yeah, I don't know the results. I'm not sure. I'm trying to find it, but I don't know waste any of the listeners or viewers' time. But I mean, just the games today was Fiji versus Colombia, Ireland versus Kazakhstan. Then tomorrow, Spain will play against Kenya. So that is for XV3. And then next week is going to be all the 3 competitions playing. And then, yeah,
XV1 is being played in New Zealand.
New Zealand next week. It start next week.
Right. So, wxvrugby.com is the address to go and check that out. We will be paying more attention to that in our next podcast. And that is going to be the women's competition. It's sort of like the Rugby Championship, the Six Nations sort of thing. But I think it's brilliant, and wish the Springbok women well in their final 2 games. We will be broadcasting the final 2 games, and once again, apologies to the fans that we didn't catch on to this one that happened today. But we will be lifting our game, getting some eyes onto the women's game as far as we can. And if you are in an area where you are geo-blocked, don't worry. We will be there to give you the audio-only commentary, the watch-along commentary. If you don't like the commentators that are on the TV forced down your throat, we will be there to give you some alternative commentary. And thank you once again, Mr. Nathan Gogela.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Otto. It's always a pleasure being on your podcast. I learned so much.
It's not mine. It belongs to everyone. It belongs to everyone. It's open source, man. It belongs to everyone.
Nice
we will carry this thing through. We will make it work. And if you want to sponsor us, please get in touch. And in the meantime, we'll just do this for fun because it's a good excuse to sit around and talk rugby for an hour and 20, coming up to an hour and 24 minutes. It's almost as long as a soccer game. Thank you, Nathan. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you did this tonight. It was just you or nothing at all. If you didn't come through, this wouldn't have happened. So thank you. Dyson donkeys. Thank you 1,000 times.
No, thank you to you as well for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure. I mean, learning a lot from you as well, and from other sports journalists who obviously been involved in the podcast. So, yeah, I mean, I learned one thing or two, which I take it with me, and maybe my own personal capacity. But yeah, thank you again, Otto. It's always a pleasure.
Awesome, man. You have a good evening, and the same to you, everybody listening. Good night.